Hello and welcome to today's Ignite webinar series brought to you by Lit College Tour, and thank you for joining us in Lit's second segment of our webinar series. My name is Jack Burns.
My name is Chris Rodriguez, and we'll be your moderators today.
Lit College Tour is a mentorship-driven initiative designed to inspire student leadership, innovation, and transformation, fueling change and an exchange of idea through peer-to-peer dialogue and interaction with leading experts. The initiative celebrates millennial diversity and features speakers across diverse industries, including entrepreneurship, marketing, science and technology, entertainment, and related fields.
So far this year, Lit College Tour has visited 3 top markets, including Los Angeles, Silicon Valley, and San Diego, and presented 75 multicultural speakers and reached over 600 students and emerging leaders. Lit is tentatively scheduled to visit Chicago, New York City, Houston, and Miami this fall.
Throughout our presentation, we'd love to keep you involved in our discussion. So at any point, you can ask a question or just have a comment and type that in on the right side of your screen, and then we'll answer those questions at the end. Now let's introduce today's guest.
Okay. Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell, attorney and CPA, is the CEO of the Leading and Living Community, a personal and professional development organization that encourages, equips, and champions people to be successful members of and leaders for their communities, in their professions, and personally. Lynita is also author of Leading Through Living, a guide for women seeking growth through leadership, blogger, and freelance columnist, work published in Pose magazine and My Magazine for Girls. Lynita has developed and executed workshops for corporate, educational, and nonprofit organizations, for which she has been recognized with multiple accolades. Lynita earned her Bachelor of Science degree from Florida A&M University, International Comparative Law, Commercial Arbitration Certificate from Johannes Kepler Universität Linz, Austria, and Juris Doctor degree from Georgia State University College of Law. Welcome, Lynita.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, to begin, I have to say that you have quite an impressive history that highlights your leadership skills. How would you say that your experiences in corporate America and through your organization have had an influence on you both personally and professionally?
Well, the first thing is that it looks like there was this major plan, but I promise you it was just me taking one step in front of the other. When I went to undergrad, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but my mother said you cannot major in just something general. You need to pick something where if you change your mind, you can get a job. And so that's where the accounting came from. And everybody who was an accounting major became a CPA. And so that's how I became a CPA. And then when I got out there, I really did not like it and remembered, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be a lawyer. And got my law degree and practiced for 7 years, loved it. But then said, you know, I really would like to do something different. And I had been satisfying my desires for something more by serving in community organizations, professional organizations. And one of the things that I saw, no matter where I went, was that people would say, oh, wow, I love to work, I love to volunteer, I love to do whatever it is. But when it came time, particularly with women, to step up and say, I want to be the leader, they always shied away. And so I started writing this book mentally and finally put it on paper and put it out there, Leading Through Living. And people really liked it, and they invited me to speak. And so that's how I became a speaker and an author. Looking at all of this, it looks like this beautiful plan. And it was not mine. Yeah, I wish I could tell you that that was always it from day one, time I was 18. That entire experience taught me to just go with it. That you have this wonderful plan for your life, but if you see that you might need to make a change, just do it. That at every moment of your life, you're where you need to be, and it's going to be okay. And if you apply that in both your personal and your professional life, things are going to be all right. You're going to enjoy the ride, not just get to the destination.
Wow. That's a lot to take in. I think we're definitely going to have a lot of great insight today.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
So our next question is, through your work and your speaking, you focus a lot on kind of success because of taking leadership and taking initiative. So what is a way you think for young people, maybe if they go to networking events or programs, like how can they stand out from the rest of the group and really make their presence known?
I'm so glad you asked. When I was in undergrad, we were all taught to introduce ourselves the same way. Hello, I am Lynita Mitchell, my maiden name. And I am from Miami, Florida. I am a junior accounting major. And can you imagine what that must have been like for the guests to have 30 people come and introduce themselves that way? By the third person, if they even remembered a thing, hats off. And so I would say, to be memorable, go up to the person and introduce yourself. Definitely state your name. But while you're there, so my name is Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell, and I am here to support Jack, who is deciding that he would like to be an actor instead of a commodities trader like his mom. Another thing that you can do to really stand out, when you give someone your business card, don't just hand it to them, present it. Give them an opportunity to look at it and verify the information is correct. When they give you the business card, actually take a look at it. Ask, is your information correct here? If it's a nice card, compliment them. People like to feel good. And for something so small, and make sure it's sincere, don't just say it because it's something to say. They remember that. When you go into a room and you don't know anyone, there is one nice person there that you can hang out with. Go and find them. Try to go to things that you don't know much about. Tag along with a friend if you can. People remember the person that has nothing to do with the industry. For instance, if you are a marketing major and you go with one of your buds to their engineering group, they're going to remember the marketing person and probably introduce you around. Say, hey, this is great. We have someone outside of the circle. And you're the new shiny toy that everybody wants to talk to. So those are just a few things that you can do that don't require a whole lot of time and no money, right, to really set yourself apart.
That's actually really interesting and actually kind of a great lead-in to our next question. So this notion of building your own personal brand is becoming more and more relevant as time kind of progresses. So through social interactions in person, as you were kind of noticing, but also through social media. What are some techniques that you would recommend for anyone who is trying to effectively increase and strengthen their networks?
Well, one of the things that I speak on is digital content management, or DCM. And I tell people this is so much more than just social media. This is everything web. So this will be your website, your email address, any blogs that you like to post to, as well as social media. And it is imperative that you take control over the conversation that is being had about you on the internet. Because if you don't, not only shame on you, but you are allowing someone else to control what's being said about you. Whenever I go out on a blog, if it's something positive that I can leave, then I will. Very rarely will you find anything that I've posted that is negative. My opinion might change, or it might be offensive to someone who might consider hiring me. I don't want that out there. Also, when it comes to social media, you both know that there are over 300 of these sites. No one expects you to be on all of them, but you really need to be on at least LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Those are the four that really drive the conversation about who you are, what your interests are, and where your mind is. And if you don't believe for a moment that before I return a phone call or respond to an email to someone that I don't know, that I don't go and Google them, you don't even understand how this all works, I'm going to tell you. People want to know who they're talking to, and they feel like they know you if they can go and see what's going on. Now, that's just one part. The other part is physically how you present yourself. I know that you're all taught to be in the navy blue or the charcoal black suits, but I would say go ahead and be expressive, individualize. People remember that person. Be professional now. Don't come in the clown suit. but definitely try a little color. Do a little jewelry. Wear your hair in a way that makes you feel feminine and beautiful and handsome and studly, right? I think that those things are really important because people want to meet other people. They don't want to meet robots. And when it comes to talking with people, try conversational terms. I know a lot of times we want to use big words to really impress upon people that we're educated. They get that. They know you have a degree or that you're in college, right? Just talk to them like they're normal, everyday people. They appreciate that. They remember that. And people hire people that they like. They're going to like the person who actually took an interest in them, who listened to them. This is all part of branding. You are building the case that you are an authentic, genuine person who they should like and hire.
Wow, some more really good insight.
Thank you.
So you're really a firm believer in not only prospering and developing yourself, but also working towards making a better community. So do you have advice for people who really share the same feelings about where they're from in their community, and ways that maybe they can become more active doing things that personally help them, but also help those around them?
Absolutely. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is to get involved in organizations that align with your profession. But the second is to get involved in organizations that align with the things that you find fun. When you do both of those things, it allows you to meet two different types of people. But they really are the same. What do I mean by that? Well, two different types of people. So when you go to work, most of us wear a mask, right? The person that we get at work is not the same person that we're going to Six Flags with this weekend, right, Chris? Right. But on the inside, in the core, they're still the same. When you work with a person, you get to know them pretty well, and they get to know you too. And remember I said earlier, people like working with people that they like. The second thing about this, when you do the things that are fun, you're much more likely to get out there and try something new, to learn new skills. This is particularly important when you want to transition from one career to another. This gives you an opportunity to learn those new skills on somebody else's dime, and even though you're not getting paid for it, the chances of you getting yelled at and fired are pretty slim, right? While you're doing all these wonderful things, you're getting known in the community, you're giving back, you're actually helping people, and you're doing these things in places and with organizations you actually care about. This goes back to the authenticity statement. You want to build the case that you are a genuine person, that you're for real. Those are the types of people who are successful.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Interesting and definitely true points. So, as you mentioned before, you have written a book that focuses on women seeking growth through leadership. Do you think you could speak a little bit about that book and why you decided to write it and what you learned afterwards?
Absolutely. So, Leading Through Living, a guide for women seeking growth through leadership, is a book for every person. I specifically target women because I am a woman, and so I was speaking from my own personal experiences. One of the things that I noticed is that in serving in various organizations, I've had the honor and the pleasure of serving as president of the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys Foundation, the Georgia Association of Attorney Accountants and CPAs, the National Coalition 100 Black Women Stone Mountain Lithonia chapter, and a couple of other groups. And no matter where I went, whether it was professional, social, or civic, the same things kept happening. We would work hard. We would build a great project. We would serve the community. And then when it came time to turn over leadership, everybody went running for cover. And I would have to beg and plead people to serve as chairs, as officers, even to take over as president after I left. And I said, you know, this is a real problem, because if this is happening here, I bet it's happening at work too. And when I looked around the people that I was working with, it was happening. And there was a trainer who really put this in perspective as to what was going on here. A few years ago, I went to a political operative training, and the trainer said, the difference between a man and a woman who decides that they want to run for president. The man wakes up wearing a t-shirt and boxers with no education, no money, and says, I want to be president. And he just gets out there and he does it. Whereas the woman who wakes up and has no money and no education says, I want to be president, but after I get my degree, after I raise money, after the kids have been raised, after, and then blink, 20 years have gone by. Now, is this necessarily an awful thing? No, absolutely not. But when I saw that happening, I said, I really need to get this down, and I wrote it and packaged it and got it out the door, and people read it, men and women, and said, this is exactly right, we've got to share it. And the things that I share in there are just things that happen to me or people that I know personally as to why we do those things. Fear was a big part of it. Where fear can inspire caution, it can also inspire you to be paralyzed, to not want to move. And there is a delicate balance, and you've got to move. If you don't do anything, if you move left, right, backwards, you've got to do something, or you're going to blink, and 20 years later, you're going to be in the same spot.
Thank you. Nice. Also, for our viewers, don't forget that you can type in questions on the side. We're nearing the end of what we have, so we'd love to hear from you. So also, you are officially a board member at Lit College Tour, which is pretty exciting for us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And so what inspired you to be part of our organization, and where do you see us, or where would you like to see us moving in the future, and what do you kind of see for Lit?
Well, first, I am honored to serve on the board of Lit. I found you guys on Twitter, started following me, and I went to your website, and I saw the wonderful things that were coming up, because you had not had your first conference yet. And LA was coming, and so I sent in an email, and I got something back almost immediately. And I started talking with Mario, and the conversation that we had was so genuine and so thought-provoking that I was like, I would really like to be involved in this. And the conversation was something like this. So who are we marketing to? Well, mostly minority students, giving them leadership development that they need so that they will be successful. And I said, you know, our kids, I'm sorry guys, I am old enough to be your mom. I know I look good and all, but yes. And I said, our kids, they come out to party and they come out to eat, but they're not really coming out for education. So how are you planning on getting them in the door? And he was like, I got some things planned, I got some things lined up. Just come out here from Atlanta and you'll see. And I did, and I was pleasantly surprised. The young people that I met were energetic, they were on it, they were ready to take notes with pen and paper, no less. I was surprised. I thought all you did was play on phones, right? And the questions that they asked of the panelists and even the conversations that I had after I gave my speech, I was just really excited. And when Mario said, we're taking this across the country, I said, wow, I would love to help any way I can. And then he reached out to me a few months later and said, would you like to be part of the board? And I was like, you couldn't hold me back with wild horses. Of course I want to be part of the board. Some of the things that I would like to see you do, I want you to come to Atlanta. When are you going to get Atlanta on the list? We have all these colleges and universities here. The kids here would love that. I'm sorry. The young adults here would love that. Got to be PC, right? I would love to see more keynote speeches. The panels are great, but I didn't. I would have loved to hear more of what the individuals had to say, because sometimes when you're a panelist, you don't say everything that's on your mind because you don't want to be the hog. A couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of serving on a panel, and one of the young ladies, she had prepared what she wanted to say, and when the moderator went to cut her off, she looked at her and said, "I'm on my last point, and I need to finish what I had to say because it's the most important one." And so she just kept talking. And so I would really like that not to happen with any of Lit's panels. Another thing that I would love to see is it spanning like an entire weekend, having some vendors come in, really stirring it up, and getting some celebrity support. I mean, I think that what we're doing here is important and that it needs to be shared. Now I've talked your heads off, right?
That was great, though. No, I think that's definitely a good vision, and you know, really in line with what everybody at Lit sees going forward, also.
Yeah, definitely. And as we're trying to grow, we're also trying to get all the ideas. So we're definitely glad to have you on board.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, we have one question from a viewer saying, "Hi, Lynita. I hear you're working on a new book. What's it about?"
Yes, The Leading Lady Legacy. 10 steps to become the leading lady of your life. So this book is going to be a little different from the first one, even though it sounds very similar. One of the things that we're taught, I don't care if you started off in college or you start off as an entrepreneur, the training materials are all the same. Find someone that you respect and model them, and just try to be like them. I'm flipping that on its head. I'm saying to you, find out what it is that makes you special and makes you feel good, and get out there and you do it. One of the things that I learned in one of my professional speakers classes is that when people are hiring you and they're paying you big bucks, they're not paying big bucks to see Oprah light or Steve Jobs light. They're hiring you and paying you big bucks to hear what Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell has to say. If they wanted Oprah, they would go to Oprah, right? If they're coming to me, they really want to hear what I have to say, and they want to see how I would present it. I think it is a serious disservice that we do to ourselves when we just try to be mini-me. And so I encourage, once again, women, but anybody can use this book. Buy it for your daughters, your nieces, nephews, and for yourself if you are just too ashamed to say. And really dig into some of the things that we explore. The first is that everybody has a different tempo, how they go about life and how they process the things that happen to them. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you, number two, are courteous and respectful as to how you move through life. One of the things that my father taught me and that has served me well my whole life, there are 3 phrases that are going to take you farther than any education. Thank you, please, and excuse me. And you would be amazed at the number of people who just do not employ that. The next thing that I would say in being the leading lady for you is understanding that your life is not going to look like someone else's. By that, I mean we have this idea that you go to college, you get married, you have a baby, you buy the house, you drive the car, and you now have that dream. Well, that's not everybody's dream. Mine started off that way, but it has taken some sharp turns because I have had at least 4 different careers now. That was never the plan. And I'm about to celebrate my 15th wedding anniversary, and I promise you, well, okay, my husband would say he just loves me, everything, right? Because he don't want to be in trouble. He has to share a pillow with me. But I promise you that if he knew then what we know now about all these transitions, he would have said, why don't we wait till you go through all these changes and then let's get married? But that was part of the fun. That's what I tell him when he says or starts to say things like that, right? So being a leading lady is less to do with assuming the leadership role of an organization, but more of assuming control over your life. And so I'm really excited to hopefully finish this book this weekend and get it to my editor, because it is now 7 days late. But she loves me, and so she's going to take it anyway. Hey, Kathy! And to hopefully have it out to all of you this fall. It is actually going to be released in conjunction with the Leading Lady Legacy Tour, which kicks off October 4th in Alabama, and we'll be traveling to 7 cities over 3 months and 6 states. And so hopefully we'll be coming to a city near you, and I'm really looking forward to sharing a lot of the wisdom that we have combined in not only leadership, but also relationships, human dignity, business acumen, health and wellness, and just really having a good time. It won't be all be serious. We're going to have some fun.
Sounds like a great book.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Sounds like some exciting stuff you have coming up in the next few months or the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that concludes this segment of our webinar series. Thank you to everyone who joined in to enjoy the show. We would love to have you connect with us and keep this conversation going beyond today's event. Please be sure to follow us at litcollegetour.com for more information on our webinars and upcoming programs, as well as following us on our social media outlets.
On behalf of today's guests, Lynita, as well as Lit College Tour, my name is Jack, along with Chris. I know we both learned a lot today and definitely got our brains moving and thinking, so I hope for all the viewers that it did the same thing. Keep an eye out for our next webinar. It should be one week from today, I think. But stay up to date on Twitter at Lit College Tour, our Facebook page, Facebook/Lit College Tour. So you can stay up to date on our webinars as well as our tours as we come to a city, hopefully in your area. So we hope you have a great rest of the day, and don't forget to check out Lynita's website and her book. If you enjoyed today, which I'm sure you did, hopefully you can learn a little bit more from this amazing woman.
Definitely. So thank you again, Lynita, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.